evening, everyone. Welcome back to your Friday night extravaganza that is RCM on Tap, your 60-ish minute roundtable discussion show where we go behind the scenes to this week at RivalCast Media to meet our good friend, Sayo is joining us, fourth chair. Woohoo!
Whoop whoop,
Yay!
Good evening, all.
Oh, that's right. We were going to call the stream that, weren't we?
You really want to save that for Scott next time you have him on.
Yeah.
It's very true because he's actually
enthusiastic about this versus me, who I'm not at all.
not at all.
Well, maybe
Not
you
at
were
all
looking
enthused
for
about it.
him and you found him in a dumpster, and therefore we found you in a dumpster.
No, that's a completely unrelated story, but I'm happy to.
Related this week, though.
There were dumpsters related this week.
Am I still quiet, really? I'm just going to have to yell at you guys. I don't know.
No.
We've tried everything at this
Hold
point.
on.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Do 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 do.
So we wait for that to be fixed. Sayo, I heard you. Do you like talking about your job?
I do enjoy my job. I mean, yeah, it is nice to get paid over the summer for doing effectively nothing. But
Oh yeah.
I mean that's always a plus. But so my new job has decided I'm learning a lot about. So I was told that it was a heavy Hispanic district. I was not told that it has a large Chin immigrant group to it as well. So that's
Okay.
yeah.
So there's
that's
that.
So I get to deal with two different language groups neither of which I speak fluently. So, but mostly generally speaking, kids speak it better than the parents in most cases. Let's see, I've been moving into my classroom and been beaten to death by meetings all week because, when you get a new job, it's always important to make sure that your employees feel like they're overwhelmed with useless knowledge, most of which they've already forgotten by the time they finish the first meeting. And, and the best part of the week, the highlight really, is that apparently books have no value in our society anymore. And that's really all.
That's true.
No kidding, man.
I really wanted to take a picture of the dumpster full of books and put a caption over "State of American Education," and I felt that I didn't really want to lose my job in the first week, though. So apparently, the library at the school I work for, the librarian has gotten the idea that anything that has not been written in the last 10 years she's just getting rid of it. It's gone. Adios, amigo. And so there's literal dumpster full of books right now that I've been saving periodically. Now, mind you, teachers being the somewhat, knowledge-friendly base that they are, most of the teachers have been grabbing books as well. But I think I'm the first one to actually go at it with boxes and boxes of effort. So
Bring an actual truck.
I had the conversation with the librarian. And it was a serious conversation. If I just back my pickup to the truck like I'm harvesting sweet corn and just fill it up with books until I can't fill it anymore, because the approximate volume of my pickup bed and the approximate volume of the dumpster seems similar.
Yeah.
I figure we're looking at about 300 to 500 books probably in the back of the pickup. So, in addition to the 3 boxes of books I've already saved, a large variety of Stephen King, some Terry Brooks, some kind of obscure history. I think I found an original Frank Herbert Dune sitting there. Or if it's not an original, it's dates back from the 60s. It's hardcover. It is old school. That alone should probably pay for the whole trip. It's actually worth anything. It's in better shape than a lot of the other ones. There's a ton of Dragonlance books, which I imagine it would depend on because sometimes with those fantasy books, you tend to run into problems of printing runs. So there'll be a really short printing run on some of those books, and they just become really hard to get. So even though these books are well loved,
Yeah.
and in literally having the covers taped back on in a lot of cases, If it's an obscure book, then it doesn't matter if that's the only way you can get it. That's the only way you can get it. So
yeah, it is what it is. I just like how the cutoff's like 10 years. Like, anything in the last 10 years, we don't want to remember.
We don't want to remember.
We don't want to remember anything.
The 21st century was a new beginning.
2016.
And so was apparently 2006. So
2006 is when I graduated from college, so for me it was a new beginning.
So are you saying all knowledge should be purged from before your graduation?
I'm saying certain knowledge procured in college was probably better off if we could purge it from our memory banks. Alas, we don't, so we learn from it and move on. But...
So yeah, that's been my week in a nutshell. That and just getting ready for kids. Kids come Tuesday, so
yay! To be babysitter.
Oh, well, I teach math. I'm not a babysitter. I'm more, torturer and pain inflictor. So.
I was actually thinking that should be like the title for that. The schoolmaster has arrived. You just with your ruler.
Yeah. Just have a bullwhip sitting on your desk. What's that for when you screw up?
And you will.
The other highlight of my week was finding out that I'm apparently teaching 3 sections of junior high. Like, that was not what I was told back in June. But okay.
Surprise!
Surprise! Extra work! By the way, you know how you thought you were doing 3 preps? Nuh-uh. You're doing 4 now.
Woo, woo.
Don't worry, we're not going to pay you any extra.
Well, I mean, they run an 8-period day. So it's like, so each section is like 44 minutes. So,
Wait. Literally, it's like 44 minutes. It's not like 45, 50. It's not like a 5 number. It's literally 44 minutes.
Yeah.
That makes no fucking sense. I'm just going to say it out loud.
Ah.
Who came up with the... Well, let me guess. Some administrator who's never taught a day in their life wrote up that schedule.
Well, current Iowa law, and I can only speak to Iowa law, only requires you to have 3 years of teaching experience, at which point then you can become an administrator. 3. So
you're still essentially a rookie, and you can...
And you too can run a school.
You too.
You too.
You can run a school, and you can run a school.
That just seems like some sort of infomercial.
I've actually...
You too could run a school.
I actually advocate the position. I don't know if I ever actually said this on your show, but I think I've mentioned on Farfield once or twice that we should honestly not let teachers run schools.
Yes, you've talked about that. Yeah.
We should actually go to the point of teach as a school administrator should be taught like a hospital administrator, where you are given the skills, basically the basic HR skills, the people skills, the financial skills, basically that you are running an organization. The days where a principal is the lead teacher are long since past us. And frankly, most teachers don't, most administrators, the part of their job they seem to take least seriously is the actual evaluative process of actual teachers. Where if you had, what is American education, kind of the state that it's in, well, And I think that would help to some degree with the whole, the average administrator lifespan is like 3 to 5 years. And I don't think turnover would be that much better if it was an actual school administrator rather than a principal or superintendent. But at the very least, if I'm going to hire a soulless bureaucrat, at least I'm hiring someone with like a BA or, bachelor's in business rather than hiring, some $100,000, teacher who just wanted a pay raise and isn't terribly good at their job.
That kind of reminds me of the idea of, if I remember correctly, the U.S. Navy. They have 2 different types of officers. There's the line officer, who's actually the chain of command. They're the only officers who can legitimately give an order, and people have to obey them. Then you have I forgot what's the
I think it's
official
line and staff.
line and
officers.
staff, something like that. Staff officers they only do their job. That's it. They can't give orders.
But isn't that like doctors and such?
I
want to say because there was a guy I went to high school with who joined the Navy after, they helped pay for med school, so that's always a plus.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it was he didn't even have to go to like OCS or anything. He just had to go to some leadership training, however long, kind of thing, and he was good. Because, I mean, really, if he's going to be just a Navy doctor, he's not going to be giving orders or anything like that are, battlefield.
No.
They don't put those people in the field. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they do put those people in the field, but they don't put them in charge of infantry units. So.
No, they don't put them in charge of actual commands. They put them
far in the back, and then they normally have like corpsmen doing all the work in the front.
So my memory serves, like there's been instances in history where you have like, a non-officer who's put in a situation where they're basically the highest ranking member left in the company, and they basically are stuck leading somebody.
You're
leading
stuck
this
with me.
Yeah.
And in that case, you're in an extreme situation. Somebody needs to be in charge to get everyone out. And it might as well be.
I would hand that off to the highest enlisted person.
Because technically,
so fast.
That
guy knows what he's doing.
You can't follow their orders. Officially, you can't follow their orders. I mean, suggestions like, hey.
Well, that's why they usually tie it into. I thought it was like doctors, Corps of Engineer type people, like civil engineers and stuff. It was more of those types of.
No, even like actual supply officers who actually are on the ship.
Supply, yeah, that makes sense.
There's several. The only reason I know this because I read a science fiction book and they was talking. They actually, it was like literally took the modern U.S. Navy and put it in space. They talk about all these legal stuff. It was kind of cool. It's like Jags in space.
Right.
That was always my favorite aspect of Star Trek is the naval ranking. And I think you guys talked about this a few weeks ago. I've been listening through the On Tap archives, and I think you were talking about Killer.
I apologize.
There are no. Actually, I'm listening to them backwards, so I'm listening to the most recent episodes.
Even worse. It gets progressively worse as you go.
Oh, don't say that.
It's actually pretty good.
Wait, hold on. If it's getting pretty good, that means he's going back to our earlier stuff. It was better than our current stuff. That's what I'm hearing. So we're getting worse. Thank you, Sayo.
No,
letting us know.
If he's listening in reverse,
Yeah, that means the older stuff is better.
It's all good. Don't deny yourself.
Sorry.
How dare you?
What were you trying to get to?
How dare you? I'm going to start a Twitter hashtag campaign now. All my 5 followers or whatever. Mm-hmm.
So, what was your point? I'm sorry, you were listening to earlier episodes?
Only that you had also brought up the point that there are no enlisted people in Star Trek other than Chief
O'Brien.
That's
right, I did bring that up.
Oh, yeah, because
there is Chief O'Brien.
Yeah,
only
but that's
one.
what he meant. They kind of, and even before that, they still made it where he had, I think in the Next Generation, he had like ensign or lieutenant pips. And then for Deep Space Nine, they invented the enlisted insignia, but they like gave it to no one else really.
Well, the problem with a lot of the early Next Generation stuff is it's hella inconsistent on almost all fronts.
Oh, sure.
Like, then there's people wearing the wrong uniforms around. Like, why are you they didn't know what they were doing with a lot of that stuff. I actually one of the cool things about Babylon 5 is that...
yeah, I knew this was going.
No, one of the things about Babylon 5, if you ever look at the uniforms, the male and female officer uniforms actually open in different directions. So you know how women's shirts button from one way, men's shirts button the other way? They're actual officer uniforms, women's officers... They're open one with the men open the other way. But you'll occasionally see a woman walking around in a man's shirt, or like the officer shirt, because somebody in costuming didn't know.
You forgot about it.
Yeah. I mean, it never happens with the mainline cast, but occasionally it's just a random extra. Yeah.
Yeah, they just couldn't find one for that extra that day, and they were just like, screw it, just put this on.
God, that was such a great show. I don't think I can watch it now because shows have themselves matured and gotten better. But
it's the first season.
I've still not seen it.
Yeah. See, the problem is the first season was never that good.
No, that's true.
I mean, I never I started really I watch there are a couple episodes in the first season that are really great, and then especially in the last like 6 episodes or so. But once you get to the second season when Sheridan shows up, then it's like I would say everything for the second season, basically the end, is all still pretty watchable. I've recently, when I was down on after my gallbladder surgery, I watched a bunch of Babylon 5, and then I got into the Monster Hunters International books. And
those are so good.
Yeah, they are really good. I really enjoyed them. I haven't read the most recent one, the one that came out officially in August. But
Grunge.
Yeah, the one Ringo wrote. Yeah.
I need to read that when it comes out. I'm going to read it when it comes out officially. But no.
It's out. It is out officially. It came out like August 1st or something like that.
Oh, did it? Okay.
I'm waiting until it comes out on paperback because all my books are in paperback. Damn it! I'm not going to ruin my collection.
No, because now I'm torn. I think I have to buy it on paperback so my dad can read it too. I originally bought it all on Kindle. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. Then it's like, I can't share my Kindle books with my dad.
Right.
And I want him to read the series because it's a really great series, and
you can if you set up family share.
He doesn't like reading on his phone.
That's not the point. It's the not liking the.
I understand. There's some books I have to have on paperback.
Yes.
There's only certain genres.
I get that.
So, but hammer. Anyway, so I guess I'm gonna have to buy that. But
that's how you get him to read it. You just wave like a big mallet at him and just like, look, here's the answer to your question.
You started this, Sayo.
I looked over here to look at something, and I turned back around, and 2 people have their weapons out, and that's a
Don't
thing.
make me pull my gun out. Don't make me do it. And no, it was like.
Oh, I like.
What?
Oh shit.
Jesus Christ.
I can't look at it for too long because it flashes me in the eyes.
We're gonna have like people in the stream are gonna be like, seizures.
There we go. Well, I was going to have Killer put the warning label.
Gonna get sued. Just saying.
All right. 2 things. Monster Hunter, like my favorite line from the very first book, is we have the main character. He's fighting some super vampire. He starts with an assault rifle, just fills him with lead. Then he switches to a full-on auto 12-gauge shotgun with a 20-round drum. Fills him with holes. Then he switches to his first pistol. Then he goes to his second pistol. Then he pulls out his little revolver, and the vampire gets shot, and he's still regenerating this entire. He's like, how many guns do you have? Lots. And he just fires with his little revolver he has.
Yeah, I remember that scene. I actually wrote I have a quasi review kind of written for the book. I'm just not happy with it. I need to rewrite some of it, but I don't know. I like the book quite a bit. I feel it has a very first bookish vibe to me, though. There's like the next, like if you can get I would say the first book is very good, but the later books are better.
Oh yeah, because he's built on his world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would say like compared to like Jim Butcher's series of Dresden Files, the first book of the Monster Hunter series is much better than the first 3 books of the Dresden Files. Much easier to get through.
Yeah, I mean, John Ringo's first book has that problem too.
But John Ringo has a lot of problems of doing his books in spurts.
Yeah, well, his I forget what the aliens that the whole Alien series that he left completely hanging.
Troy Rising.
Yeah. Well, he has a couple series that they're like completely hanging right now. It's like, come on, Ringo, get it done. This isn't. I mean, it's not quite like George R.R. Martin levels of just leaving things hanging.
Right.
But
wait, didn't you tell me he's going to actually have a ghostwriter write the last book? Wait, who told me this? Someone told me
Not
this.
me.
For what?
I've never heard that.
Like the last Game of Thrones book, Fire and Ice, he's going to actually have a ghostwriter write the last book because he doesn't have time.
I think the last. I was gonna say that.
I heard that as a rumor.
I guess the last book in the series is supposed to be called the Dream of Spring.
Hold on.
But I was like, to the Google bot.
Yeah, to the Google bot. I'm
seeing
seeing an article where it looks like he joked about it.
Oh.
Like he said, I'm pulling a Wonka and hiring a nerd to finish.
Wonka.
Who?
Yeah.
Willy Wonka?
Willy Wonka.
Oh.
and hiring a nerd to finish it. My loyal fans, I dearly wish I was writing to you to tell you that The Winds of Winter, the 6th Game of Thrones book, was complete. I wish I had a freshly printed copy to hand each and every one of you, but here's the truth. It's not done. It's not even close to done. Look, I've been writing this book for 20 years. I'm 67, I'm losing steam. So I write these to announce that I plan to pull a Wonka and find a young, eager nerd to finish it off.
Bio, have you Google
George R. satire that I'm reading here.
Google George R.R. Martin computer if you haven't ever done that.
Oh God!
Look at the computer.
Hold on, I'm gonna drop this in chat
because you need to see the computer he writes this on.
So this is looking like a satirical thing, but I know what you're talking about. It's like an Amiga, isn't it?
Yeah, this thing has a floppy disk drive.
Jesus Christ!
I have a 5.5-inch floppy disk drive.
It's not networked. Nobody can ever steal Game of Thrones without having to break and enter physically into his house, and then they'll be like, I gotta find a USB floppy drive now.
George R.R. Martin just took over the stream for a second. What the crap?
How dare you? But yeah, so this clearly satire, and people probably ran off with it. Like, oh no!
Christ, fairness. We have 2 monitors now.
It opened on the wrong one, killer. God.
Did it really?
It did. It took over the full screen, which is amazing because Firefox's never opens full screen. So
what's funny is so here's an even older one. So people were just having fun with this old it's never gonna get finished train. Here's one from inverse.com from January of this year, and then the one I linked was from February. So it's like every month it seems, Somebody comes up with a new, you're never gonna get your last book. Yeah, so good.
Best root beer in the world.
Like the South Park episode with the Cable Company. My nipple.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is Sayo has some Faygo.
No, this is not Faygo. This is Baroness has actually had this. This is Sprucker. When I went to the Sprucker's Brewery a couple of years ago, this is actually more like 5-6 years ago at this point. They had a giant mug there, and so I definitely had to buy one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing it here.
But they like to brew beer, but what they're good at is brewing cream soda and root beer. So
I see they also sell the extract as well to do like home brewing with it.
Silly Skype.
Just click the camera thing.
Yeah, they sell like a gallon of just root beer soda extract from this company for $19. Interesting.
Yeah,
I think mix it in with 4 gallons of water.
I think when I mailed it to Cleveland a couple of years ago, I think I spent too much.
Too much.
Shipping's kind of ridiculous, especially.
Well, it wasn't as bad as you would think for like 5 cases of root beer or whatever the hell I sent. So, nonetheless, it was highly amusing all the same. It was worth the effort, and it was all with gift card or like prepaid credit cards that were about to expire, and I was just
so you'll have to toggle your video.
Yeah.
Back on. Forgot about that. Yeah, we've had this issue. Glad we confirmed when we had Seraphis on the show. We're not the only ones that deal with this.
Nope.
Wait, you don't want the shadow? Come on.
Oh, we still have the shadow.
the shadow is pretty awesome. I mean, we did talk about Babylon 5 earlier, so
shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Babylon. I think my favorite part of that show was it actually showed characters actually changing over time due to the circumstances they went through.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best part of that show.
No, and characters acting in a logical way.
Exactly.
I never felt like anyone was just being stupid for the sake of being stupid.
Well, they didn't do something because the plot, the script called for it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think, yeah.
I mean, that's the problem with the first season. It's it's just set up, it's world building, and that's fine. But it's
gotta make it entertaining.
Yeah, it's okay for 1994, I think 1993, 1994. Yeah. But in the modern world, it's a lot better just to like, I'm going to start with season 2 and just let all that Membari stuff be Membari stuff.
Yeah. Yes, Forlon warships. Good times.
There was a really cool graphic a couple of years ago. It was like the scale of like the biggest ships in the universe.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And and so the Vorlon Planet Killer was actually fairly high on that list. But then like some of the ships in Eve are just absolutely ridiculous to comprehend what their actual sizes, or their theoretical sizes are.
I've seen a lot of charts. Yeah, actually comparing the different science fiction universes, their ship size. So cool. So cool.
I have a really cool concept for a science fiction starship, but I've never actually shared it, and I'm not going to here because it's mine. It is mine, and damn it, I'm going to write this story one of these days.
God damn it, you tease.
Basically, I think I've devised the perfect intergalactic starship, and it's not what you would expect it to be.
Giant sphere, isn't it?
Nope.
Is it the Borg cube? Because that would make me laugh.
Nope.
Is it I guess we're playing 20 questions now.
Well, I'm not going to answer any questions because it's my idea, damn it, and I'm not sharing it. To my knowledge, it has never been done.
Well, I'll have you know, it must be modeled after Neil deGrasse Tyson's Ship of the Imagination.
Bio. The wolf is not happy. The wolf is not happy at all.
It can go to the nanoscale as well as the macro scale, taking us far across the galaxy.
Oh, he's
doing
He's doing the voice again.
Space advocate, biomed alchemist. This is not what we want from you.
Still love that Key and Peele Neil deGrasse Tyson one, where his wife's like, "I caught you cheating on me," and he's like, "Well, actually, the multiverse theory."
I love that one. That was great. Those are hilarious.
There's several universes where I didn't sleep with that woman.
Actually, probably a majority of them, really. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Lord.
Oh, terrible.
Well, that's the thing about like multiverse theory that never gets really explored is we think about multiverse theory in terms of, did I do one action versus another action?
Yeah.
But multiverse theory is more about like atom placement. So if a single atom is moved from one location to another, I mean, you should have an infinite number of universes that are exactly like this one, but the oxygen molecule is like 1 nanometer to the left in that universe.
Well, not even a nanometer, it's even smaller scale.
Yeah. But you should have a theoretically infinite number of universes that are exactly like this one, except for some immeasurable, small change at the atomic level of virtual, and then you can multiply that exponentially for every single atom in the universe. So,
actually, I do remember. I did read a book series. They called it was Old Man's War. John Scalzi. Their means of faster than light travel was called the skip drive. Basically, they made what was it? A pocket of I forgot what they described as it made the universe out of balance and not pocket. So what the universe would do to put itself in balance again was push that ship to another location, or they use that to jump to another location.
Okay.
So, and one of the guys talked about, everything, the universe we jump to is almost probably exactly the same, except maybe one thing, like one molecule. The people who are with me when they jump are the same people from my universe. People who did other jumps didn't come to you are from different universes. I'm totally explaining it badly, but no, we talked about it. It was pretty interesting.
There was a series, I don't remember what it was, but they were talking, the kind of crux of the series was like, imagine a world where the Roman Empire had won, and then in that the Romans take over the whole universe, like basically take over the universe, and then and there's a handful of people who remember how the world was, before it was manipulated to be this like Rome world. And and then they like jump realities, and then there's a world where like the Amazons ruled. I'm trying to think what it is. I don't honestly remember, but the whole crux of it is that the people really controlling the universes are the colonies of microorganisms that are the whole make up the majority of biomass in the planet, and those organisms have such a long theoretical lifespan. Like the whole death of the universe looks like a short period of time to those things. So
Nice.
so they're manipulating these different humans in this case and other races so that they will spread them throughout the universe. So basically humans are basically a carrier for these organisms, so then they get to Mars and all these other planets eventually, and they become more powerful the more there are of them. And so they're like, how do we stop the end of the universe? Because it's like 5 seconds to us, to these large global organisms that think on really long scales, where humans are like 100 years. So and that's a interesting perspective.
That is. But was it like, I forgot, it was a long time ago. Wasn't it like a game people were going to develop that they took the idea that the Roman Empire never fell, and it's like now the 21st century, and you have this cool Romanesque fiber armor or something like that? Does anyone remember that? No? Am I the only one?
I think I remember Vario talking about that once on the
was a
RivalCast,
long
or
time
maybe
ago.
EC, maybe further back.
God, I think it
Yeah,
had
it
to be
sounds
before the
familiar, but I
2000s.
don't remember
I
it.
don't remember specifics, but it does sound familiar.
I think alternative history is always fun.
Oh. Never got into those
As a genre, I like. I've never actually spent a lot of time reading it, but I like it as a concept.
Some of them are very nicely done, and then others are not. So,
what is bad? What would you consider badly done?
I don't have a specific thing that comes to mind right now.
What throws your flags up? Like what kind of thing? I mean, when you read a book, what makes you think like, yeah? Is there? I've had a lot of like random episodes of On Tap lately. I've been listening to, so I've had a whole bunch of your questions. Like, oh, I wish I could answer that. And one of them was like, "What's the worst book you've ever read?" And I'm like, I was thinking of that. Like, there was this really bad Stargate Atlantis novel.
Oh, God.
That I got 5 pages into and just like, this is terrible. And so that to me was the worst book I've ever read. And the reason why it was terrible is because I felt like every single line was A, something that was very obvious to somebody who had already watched the show, and B, incredibly obvious to anyone who'd ever watched the show. And they kept going like, I need to explain this. Oh, Mr. Ford Aiden Ford is a good friend to Colonel Shepard. They used to serve together before coming to Atlantis.
Yep. It's one of those show me, don't tell me sorts of things, and it goes down to what makes a good writer versus what makes a really like you want to be nice to this person. You're sure that this person is a very, very nice person in your life, but you don't ever want to read their stories again. And thankfully, there's, at least where I'm at, you read more of the, okay, this has promise, this has talent, than the, oh my God.
I was just impressed that I was surprised this was a published novel in in this universe. I'm like, dear God. I mean, I know Bio, enjoyed Atlantis. I don't know if you ever read any of the Atlantis books, but
I have tried to avoid most of for just about anything I watch on TV. I'm not interested in the reading material unless I'm told it's canon and the original people were involved. Like, nope, not interested.
You see, I like extended universe stuff. I mean, this is kind of how I made my mark in the world, is doing Warcraft book reviews and things like that. And I enjoy it when it's done well, but there's also, even in Warcraft, there's a lot of crap. I mean, they're like the two primary WoW authors, Richard Knack and Christy Golden. Both have done really good work, and they've also done some not so good work. But in those cases, a lot of the bad also tends to become corporate direction. Like, we want you to write this.
Somebody takes over. Yeah.
Well, not even somebody taking over. It's just they're an author for hire, and at the end of the day, if Blizzard says this character has to do the X, Y, and Z, then that character has to do X, Y, and Z. And it's, and because you're author for hire,
as long as they do it, that's fine. Doesn't matter if it's good or not, how it's implemented.
I'm gonna and you can kind of tell, like, if you read some of the really early WoW novels, how a lot of it's not near as scripted. It feels like they're giving the author a lot more leeway.
Right.
And that and that
Times
works.
Change.
Yeah. And in some cases it's also not good. There are also some not good times in that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I enjoy extended universe stuff. What are you gonna say, Killer?
No, I was thinking of the Halo series, because I think it's about the only a book series I've read that are extended for a fictional universe. I remember they were great. For the most part, they were pretty good. Except for there was one book. I think it was the novelization of the very first game, but it wasn't very good. They actually they had a different author than they had write some of the other books, and it wasn't very good. But I was thinking, those actual books, besides the game, defined the universe for all the fandom. Literally defined it. Everyone thought, this is how things go. These are how these characters actually act. And I remember reading when Bungie did their final Halo game of Reach, which they had already... that was their very first book written for the universe. And it was completely different from the game.
Yeah. There was a few people complaining about this.
There was a lot of like, why'd you do that? If you had just done the book or taken the certain sections of the book, the storyline would have been amazing. Even though, if you take the storyline from Reach, the Reach game, it was okay. It was interesting, but it just wasn't what people wanted. No, I remember reading later there was a theory out. I don't know if it was theory or confirmed that the actual author who wrote the first couple of Halo books did it on his own. He didn't really consult with Bungie, because Bungie was part of Microsoft, and the guy was working for Microsoft. So, from my remembrance, is a lot of Bungie employees who actually did the universe did not like how he interpreted it or wrote it. There was a butting of heads, and they had to just take it, and later on hence why Reach was different from the book.
The other universe, I was gonna say, the other universe that's done pretty well is the Mass Effect and Dragon Age stuff. But most of the writers on those series tend to be writers for the actual, like, BioWare writers. Yeah. And the ones that are bad tend to be people who are not actual BioWare writers. Like, it's pretty one-to-one, and like, this is someone who actually writes for BioWare. BioWare's writers tend to be pretty top-notch. Like, these are people who can obviously handle a novel. They basically put a novel's worth of dialogue into all their games. It makes sense that...
Well, they have intimate knowledge of the universe, where they can go to Bob next door in the next cubicle and get, hey, what would happen if Shepard did this and this planet and this? So
actually, most of Mass Effect books tend to focus on Anderson.
Oh, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could find out exactly what characters would do in this universe, because you have the first-hand knowledge right there next to you, versus an author who gets hired outside the company to write it.
Are you looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda?
Not really. I could care less. It was a great series. I'm not excited for it though.
Yeah, I'm kind of middling on it myself. I'm like,
They screwed us in the third one. Screwed us.
Have you ever read, like, some of the, like, this Mass Effect 3 is one of those things that got so much bigger than the actual game at the end. Like, some of the things theories that people were trying to put together
to explain away the ending.
It's beautiful, like how the synergy and well, it kind of has that. I mean, this is what I enjoy about the Song and Ice and Fire community right now. It's like these people who are just clinging to anything. Like, dear God, like, there's so much like random conspiracy thinking out there, and like people just digging through it, and it's beautiful in its own way. Yeah. It's also kind of, it's also kind of sad in another way, but that we're not just moving on with the world. But there's something like really elegant about a well-constructed conspiracy theory that, it's almost art after a fashion.
It really is.
It is.
I mean,
sometimes they sound really, really good too.
It just doesn't hold up under scrutiny,
Sometimes,
just like a lot of these theories.
It's the good ones that the surface inquiry. They actually survive that. It's when you have to like dig really, really deep before the theory starts breaking apart.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best kind.
And at least if you're doing it in a fictional world,
Yeah.
you can at least step back and say, yeah, this is just silly, superfluous stuff I do to,
Pass the time.
Yeah, pass the time, or this is what I do to like ease my brain after my day job, which is stressful or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're doing this in the real world, well, that's probably not a terribly healthy thing at all. So, or you sell water filters, in addition to supplement your income. So
indeed, gotta make bank.
I had to bring. I was gonna say I had to bring Bio back into this conversation. He hadn't talked in a while. I don't feel like it's a conversation with Bio if we haven't referenced InfoWars in some way, shape, or form.
Wait, have we referenced Asians? We need to reference Asians. That will bring all that back.
I did find some books on World War II in the Asian theater. So
just before I popped over into the studio channel, I was listening to Pandora, and the last song that was up was by the group Asia. It counts.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Although speaking of World War II books, I need to finish the Old Breed by Sledge. Fictional account, not a fiction, non-fictional account of a Marine during the two previous landings. I think the last on Okinawa. I still need to finish it. I'm like halfway through it.
One of the books I found was apparently a survivors take, like 7 survivors take on the nuclear blast in Hiroshima.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. If you're looking for like kind of weird random stuff, Last Train from Hiroshima is actually a really interesting account of the people who survived both nuclear blast. Like there were like 7 or 8 people who were in both nuclear blasts and actually lived through it because of random circumstances. Because I forget what they basically, after the first nuclear blast, they shipped a whole bunch of the survivors over to Nagasaki. Hiroshima, yeah, that's right. And because I think one of the automotive plants, they were workers at the first over in Hiroshima, and then there was another automotive plant that they were working for, or that was a sister plant in Nagasaki. So they basically said, "You're workers, therefore we're going to ship you over there, and you can work over there." And obviously that did not work out so well.
It did not.
They survived, or
no. Obviously, I mean, yeah, they were definitely those 30 people or whatever it was, survived, and 8 of them lived into modern times. So
yeah,
no, but very good book. Scott actually speaks very highly of it. There's been an updated version because apparently there was a whole lot of controversy about the original publishing, but that again, I forget what the actual controversy was, but it was something fairly illegitimate, but it caused a bunch of internet controversy. You know how that goes.
It could be anything now.
Anything.
It literally can be almost anything.
Right.
Do.
Everybody's yelling at Baron in chat, and I don't know why.
They love him.
Hi, Baron. How are you?
He's like the norm of the Twitch chat, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They're getting all psyched.
Norm.
He'll be coming up in a few
Baron.
minutes.
I mean, it's better than Scott's work, where we, mock and tease most of his current employees.
Yes. Oh well, we have a Twitter DM group that the Farfield guys are in, and we often hear about the happenings at Scott's work.
At trailers, where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, trailers.
Well, it started out by he was talking about how he thought one of his employees was gonna die, and so I'm like, oh, he's like Coach, because if you watch Cheers originally, there was the bartender Coach who died after like half a season or whatever. And so it's like, oh well, naturally. And so then and then he talks about the boss, his boss. I'm like, oh, that's Diane, naturally, the first boss.
Right.
It's only a matter before Woody and Christy Alley come in.
Yeah, we started just making all these comparisons.
Yeah, and he has his regulars. It's clearly it's a very good analogy for the whole thing. Eventually, there'll be a spin-off where his psychiatrist, comes to Seattle and
counselor in this case.
Yeah,
Before mentioned Baron.
Yeah, clearly, Baron moves to Milwaukee and.
That's funny.
With his father. So
his brother.
Tree is saying that he's been born. I can see that, Tree. I can see that.
Just the bickering, I could see it. That'd be amazing. Yes, you would be Frasier, Baron. You would be Frasier.
Yeah, that's what we were getting at.
And the best part would be then, occasionally, Baron would have his own radio show in Milwaukee, and from time to time, when Frasier, and his brother would have to come in occasionally and cover for him, and it would always be a disaster.
Killer's like, oh, Sayo played the long game on this one.
Touché.
Does Frasier have a sister? I don't think he has a sister.
I don't think he did, no.
No.
Although, I'm trying to remember, I remember watching some video talking about how they had a continuity error between Cheers and Frasier, like, because of the wife.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was. Like, at one point they're married, and then it's a different woman or something like that. I can't remember. Something weird.
No, they had the same one.
Oh. And what was it then? Was it?
It was, if I remember right, it was Freddy's age. The son.
Oh. That's what it was. Okay.
Whose son? Okay. I truthfully don't remember Frasier.
Yes.
I don't remember Frasier's son at all. My wife's actually.
That's because he lived in Boston with Lilith. I know about these things.
My wife's actually been watching
these things.
Mrs. Sayo has been watching Frasier lately. So.
It's a great
okay,
show.
so it's fresh.
Well, yeah, I haven't been watching it. I would just occasionally, when I come up from my basement and go upstairs, I see her watching it, and then I walk by and go back downstairs.
And run away.
It was one of those shows that when I was younger, and it was actually like when it was fresh on the air, like on NBC, that I had to secretly like sneak watch it because it had too many big words in it for certain people in the household to understand, and he would get pissed off. And this pompous bullshit. You can't be watching that. Girls shouldn't have vocabularies. I'm like, all right.
Wait. Pompous is a big word.
I was about to say, like, what?
That reminds me when I tried to record Star Trek: The Next Generation, or not, Deep Space Nine, and my dad got all mad at me. I'm like, look, I could tape it and it's not interrupting your broadcasting. You're still taping it. I can't see the clock. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you can see the clock. There's a giant clock up on the wall that rings every half an hour. Why do you need to?
This is my house. I can look what clock I want to look at.
You see the VCR? I can put it on. I can hit the VCR button, and then it doesn't interrupt your recording. That was one of those tricks most people didn't understand about VCRs, but nonetheless.
The fun times with VCRs.
I actually brought out my VCR. We were I forget why we were watching. We were watching videos when my mother came to visit, and so she wanted to go watch Ice Age, and it was already out of theaters, and I'm like, we have a whole basement full of videos. And my daughter wanted to watch one of the Disney ones that's only on VHS. I'm like, I don't care, we still have a functional VHS player. We'll just put it in and we'll watch it. So VCRs are still fresh, or my VCR still functions, darn it.
Somebody tried to bring a VHS tape to campus the other day and wanted to play it, and I'm like, this is
you just gave him the look, didn't you? Yeah, it's 2016.
2016.
Ah,
I was gonna say, if I was looking for obsolete technology, a university or school would be the
that is
place
true.
I'd
I
look.
was thinking, yeah, the AV equipment jack would probably have it because no one ever throws anything away.
I mean, I'm not saying it's hooked up, but
Oh,
I bet there is a VCR around.
Well, the
Just have to go
campus
find it.
opened in 2000, so
Give it a time. Oh no, see VCR, yeah, it's still
There should still be like a combination VCR DVD player on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably no Laserdisc players,
Oh, no.
but I mean, I know my school back in the late 90s, early 2000s still had Laserdisc players hooked up to TVs. But I was like, yeah. We still had reel-to-reel projectors. I actually walked by a reel projector 2 days ago. So,
you know, but it's interesting how that stuff.
Killer Your Faces makes that worth it.
Yeah.
Tell them about the vinyl player.
No, I just remember the church I had to go to. It was a long time ago. We actually had to do the lyrics for the whole congregation to see. We had an old overhead one of those small transparency projector things. You lay the transparency on it and it'd shine up.
Mm-hmm.
We had that for so many years.
Somebody actually had to turn it, and as the lyrics went on.
Yeah, they would have to move the transparency up and down, up and down. Yeah.
Oh, I was hoping it was on like a reel. You know how
Nope.
some like the fancy ones, they turn and turn and turn.
All by hand. You'd have to cover some of the lyrics with a piece of paper, move it up and down.
I think my favorite stories of professors at college were ones that had had the reels of projections that they had written out 40 years ago.
Oh.
And because clearly their notes hadn't changed in the preceding time. And so they would just like hook up
all
this
of
reel.
science is known, Sayo. Don't be talking about that witchcraft in your classroom. Come on.
Science is settled. Come on,
We made the discovery, and we are sticking with it.
Once again, he taught calligraphy, not science.
Right,
but I do know science and math professors who are also guilty of this. But
yeah, I was kind of my mind was wandering in that direction. I guess
everyone's guilty of it.
Projecting a little bit.
Everyone's guilty of it. That's easy to fall into. I mean, you go learn something, then you go start doing your job, and you're never required to go learn something new.
That was one of the nice things about my particle physics class I took a few weeks ago, is how like grounded particle physics people are in actual science. Like, we don't believe, I don't want to believe something just because I believe it. I want to actually have actual proof that it's there. Right. And if I can't see experimental data to prove these things, then I don't believe it. I think I have reasons to suspect that it is true, but belief is shown through data, not through desire.
So far, it hasn't been disproven. Mm-hmm. So until then.
Well, not even that though. Like they were very much on the line of, if we can't prove it, this is just theory, and theory's fine. But at the end of the day, theory's just theory. And you can that's actually really, especially when you're dealing with very cutting edge science.
Oh, yeah.
Like particle physics is. So I mean, and I learned a lot about like Higgs bosons, and like we're understanding things about neutrinos that we didn't understand about neutrinos even 2 years ago because of the labs they're doing, or a lot of the research they're doing. It's actually, in a lot of it, Fermi Lab is actually really active. People thought when they shut down the main collider loop that they were going to kind of shut down in general, but like they have like 6 or 7 major experiments still going on.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. Their big ones are doing neutrino experiments. So they have apparently like the way you build a neutrino detector now is you just hook up a whole bunch of PVC pipe with light detectors in it, and just about 40 feet by 80 feet of PVC pipe, and just wait for the neutrinos to interact with that and cause some sort of electrical interaction. It's apparently the largest piece of plastic in the world.
Nice. So when are we getting our warp drive?
I think a warp drive still weighs off.
Yeah. Although, what was it? I keep hearing about it. I don't. It's like the electronic EM drive.
Mm-hmm.
That's some guy developed, and he said, "Hey, it works. I don't know why it works, but it works, and it completely challenges how we do physics and everything."
But
and,
I don't think we've actually like put it in space and actually
no.
done
Everyone's
experiments
testing
on it.
and everyone's getting like weird results. It's like one group will get no, it doesn't work, and then one group's like we're getting something, but we don't know what.
Well, there's still aspects of electrical behavior we don't understand.
Yeah, that's what
like electrical and radio interactions. That I mean, they're the physics of like even silicone interactions are not fundamentally understood. But at the same time, I mean, they're understood better than some interactions. The problem that that we're running into right now is that we understand electricity and magnetism pretty well. Like of the scale of things we understand we understand those interactions the most because it's what we interact with the most. We understand sunlight. Sunlight is electromagnetic radiation because it's visual light spectrum. We understand magnetism. Once again, magnetism manifests itself in a fairly straightforward way. And there's a relationship between electricity and magnetism because if you put electricity through metal, it causes a magnetic field to increase, all that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What we struggle with is what are the things that actually hold atoms together, like the strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force. The Higgs boson was basically a Band-Aid when they combined the electromagnetic force with the mathematically with the weak nuclear force, because theoretically there should be no mass to anything at that point, which obviously there's mass in the universe, so something happened. So the Higgs boson was a way to cover up the fact that mathematically shouldn't have worked. Yeah, and those are things you never thought you'd care to hear about. So But it's really cool. I like, everyone makes this big deal about the Higgs boson. I'm like, why do we care about the Higgs boson? Now I understand why the Higgs boson matters, because it's one of those. Apparently the big book about the Higgs boson, the God particle, it was a publisher choice to call it the God particle, not because they wanted to sell books. Because because they knew it would.
I think
the scientists wince every time it's made.
Yeah,
like,
I think the actual nickname wasn't so much the God particle, it was the God damn it particle, because they couldn't find it. The damn
that
thing.
Is right.
That's what it was, and everyone's no, we just got to call it the God particle because it sounds a whole lot better than God damn it, because we can't print God damn it on the book.
Sure you can.
FCC will sit there and go bleep bleep.
Not at the time
during all the press conferences.
Because this was like what, the early '90s.
Yeah, something like that. The problem, but you still run into. I mean, the Higgs boson has same problem that a lot of large artificial elements has. Though it's something we don't directly observe. We only observe it through we only see it in instances where we see 4 neutrinos or 2 neutrinos and 2 muons breaking down from a super collider collision. Yeah, I actually, like I said, I spent a week learning this. Damn it, I'm gonna.
No. I'm just imagining it's like a police detective's like, all right, I directly saw the suspect do this instead of this.
Well, actually.
Well, basically, it's instead of that, it's I heard it from a guy who'd heard it from a guy who'd heard it from a guy who did this with this.
Yeah, we don't directly observe any of these things, just like heavy artificial elements. We know we expect what they break down into. They exist for a few nanoseconds at most. And overall, I mean, it's hard to when you're talking about scientific process. Like, if we want to say something like the Higgs boson is this super fundamental particle of the universe, okay, then why does it exist for? I mean, maybe it's my limited knowledge, but when did this particle exist in nature that it becomes a relevant particle for everything else, or is it just like in these extreme circumstances we know we can create it? I mean, that's the kind of bridging point we're at right now. I mean, this is my whole dark matter thing too. It's like, okay, we have observational evidence of dark matter, but what's the point of dark matter? I mean, maybe our fundamental understanding is just wrong. I mean, I think, realistically, the history of science is a lot more likely.
Wait. Are you saying science has never settled?
We're never.
Is that what you're saying? Science has never settled? So something can come along and change everything that we understand about something?
The particle physicists would totally be okay with that, by the way.
But the science is settled, though, Sayo. We've been told that all the time.
You know I
Look at
agree.
the news.
It's just fact because science. You just need to accept it. I love when
You are aware, like,
the
it's
whole,
almost never actual scientists who are making those arguments.
I know.
I mean, it's
I know,
almost,
but that's the funny thing about it. It's this idea that
and the people
science
in
originally challenged the institution of religion, and then it's like, but then people have turned science kind of into a religion within itself, where all they have to do is just say because science.
Oh,
But that-
And it's like, okay,
But that's
well,
because
let's read the paper then.
that's because
And it's
science-
like, well, you go read it. I don't have
Wait.
to explain it to you.
Well,
Yes,
hold
you
on,
do.
I
You're
have to
making
tell
the
you.
argument.
I heard this. I forgot who I heard this from. It's amazing. This little anecdote. They went to this type of conference. I forget what it was, and the guy starts talking. The panel is like, "All right, so if we were to get, so you believe there's evidence of this happening?" And everyone raised their hands. Like, "All right,
Right.
what if there was some evidence that showed contradict everything we know about this particular subject? Would you believe it?" No one raised their hand, and he responded, "Oh, I need to go change into my Sunday best because apparently we were in church
Right.
now."
Right. Well, and it's the funny thing is that, and I'll definitely give credit to who was in that room. I know Dawkins was in there. Maybe it was Dawkins and someone else, and they were being asked on this because this scientific fanboy or fanker or whatever you want to call them basically was like, because you're an authority on this. And they're like, whoa, wait a second. No, I mean, you're getting it all wrong. The point is, I'm not supposed to be the authority. It's the study, it's the experiment, the result that came out of it's supposed to be the authority. Like, okay, well, do this over and over and over again, and if we keep getting the same or similar results that all point to something, then hey, we've got something here.
Yeah,
but people want to just say, "Here's our science guy." Like we go ask Dawkins, and Dawkins knows everything about evolutionary biology.
But it's just signaling. I mean, that's
right.
You know,
well,
this
that's
as
what
well
it is.
I mean, the whole like science kind of like
stuff.
war cry. I mean, most of the people who scream that way, they don't. I mean, their whole comics
they would be
that
very
are
bored in the lab. It's like this is how this stuff they'd tour it and be like, oh, that's
You
real
mean-
cool, but it's like try and do the work. It's kind of laborious.
No, these people would go through somewhere like Fermi or CERN, like where real science is happening, where you have like these massively cool, super complicated machines that be like,
it costs
This is-
billions of dollars.
this is really boring. Like, where's the science happen, man? Like, well, the science
or
happens.
look at the whiteboard where the equations are all at.
isosceles.
Yeah.
I love the ones that go into college freshman year and they say things like, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a physicist, but they don't want to do math because math is bad.
Hey, I'm one of those. Still an engineer. Still an engineer. Yeah, I just found the field where I didn't have to go to the whiteboard to do equations all day long.
I'm talking the ones where you need it, bio. Which is quite a bit.
You still need it, but here's the thing. Here's the funny thing is, and I've talked about this with Sayo, is they'll obsess with it on the whiteboard, and then when you go to the actual PhD who's gone through all this stuff, they're like, they make you do that? We just have a program that does that for us.
What do you think we have math lab for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, math.
The problem, though, here's the thing, and this gets back to like what I do as a math teacher, is that you have to have a fundamental understanding of how the operations work,
right,
so that you can.
But that doesn't mean you have to sit there and do it on the board. I can understand something.
So here's the thing. So this was literally brought up in my training this week.
Yeah.
Is we were discussing how we set up grade books. And and a couple people had very real questions about like, well, what if I want to do categories versus just raw points versus all this? And I'm like, well, you could do any of those things. I mean, it's just a matter of, how you set things up and realize you have to properly weight things. I mean, for myself, I manually calculated all my grades the first semester, and I always like pull out a couple of them, manually calculate them to make sure they're actually calculating properly, because I can do that. I helped a teacher out my first year, and we started going through some of her old data. She's like, this doesn't look right, for her current semester. I'm like, well, let's look at last year.
Handing out A's.
No, she hadn't.
The other way.
She had failed a good number of students that probably shouldn't have been failed the previous year, and And I kind of just said, how about we not talk about that and just move on? Because I don't think anything good comes from...
call the union rep?
Immediately. No, she was a very nice gal. She struggled with... she just struggled with the teaching environment. I don't know if teaching would have been the first calling, but it is what it is.
Or third.
No, she's intelligent. She just... I don't want to say too much because it'd be obvious. If I say too much, it'd be obvious who she is. Sure. But nonetheless,
bottom line is still
very nice person. Just like the technology was not her friend in this case, and a lot of people who and I can say that she was older, and that doesn't tend to help in these situations. But I've seen young teachers. And we'll just call them what it is. They call a spade. A lot of elementary teachers who can't do math for shit. And then they set up their grade books and they completely butcher it. And then they don't understand how, I can't just because they don't understand, I can't, because they were talking about half the room was new elementary teachers. And they're talking how they can't manipulate the percentage. A lot of times what you'll do is you'll say homework is 50%,
right?
Tests are 25, and everything else is another 25.
So they can't use a spreadsheet. That's what I'm hearing.
And what they were telling us is that once you pick your weightings, you can't just change that willy-nilly mid-semester because that affects everybody.
Right.
And apparently that was not a message that had gotten out.
It was not received.
This was the tech guys giving the talk, not the administrators.
Right,
and so the tech guys were being a bit more blunt than the administrators probably would have been. So
Right.
So what I'm hearing is our teachers are not as smart as they think they are, and they're teaching our children who would therefore later on become teachers themselves, who are not as smart as the last teachers who will teach the next generation. I'm starting to see a pattern here.
It doesn't matter, Killer, because math is hard and algebra should be taken out of schools, obviously.
What? Who said that?
Triggered.
It is
triggered.
Who said it? Tell me!
You said the word. Triggered.
I do think it is funny that, when I taught science, the same kids who were very resistant to math had no problem doing math, even though we were doing literally the same math. This is basic algebra. You hated this last year. But I don't like math. But this is math. I don't
I'll admit that was me. I hated calculus until I picked up, instead of picking up a calculus textbook, I picked up an actual calculus book where, it talked about the history along with it. And it was just why didn't they just freaking teach it this way? As soon as I got that and I started going through it, it's just duh. Makes sense. And they connected all the observations I made in calculus but had failed to do on the exams and in the assignments. It was just you know what? Just screw textbooks and screw teachers that rely heavily on them. I don't know.
Well, textbooks like anything. It's just a tool. It's a starting point.
Yeah.
And you just got to treat it like a starting point.
And if you use that as the entire thing, it gets kind of messy quick.
I mean, I don't blame anyone for using a textbook as this is a place to start our curriculum, assuming that the textbook is mostly oriented towards the standards which you're required to teach for your state or area, which at this point anything within the last 10 years more or less should be adjusted towards Common Core standards, which for math there's not really an issue. I know other areas people bitch about Common Core standards, but math is pretty much math. So
there's not really that much.
There's no those matrices, those mother effing matrices. Every time I see those, oh god, the political agenda behind the matrices always gets me. Oh,
have you ever been stuck within the matrices?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had to deal with a 4x4 and then a 2x4? Oh, I tell you,
by finding that resultant, brother.
And then you got to multiply a 2x4 matrices by a 4x2 matrices, and then you got to get it'd be killing you, man. It'd be killing you. That was a math joke for all of you out there who are still listening. And we haven't driven off by this nerdiness.
I think you've driven off.
This has been the nerd hour.
But it's cool because that's what happened.
I'm okay with it.
Actually, this has been the science hour. I don't think we've hadn't strayed from science.
It started off with books. And
science book. Well, actually, no, it started with science fiction shows.
Yeah, because you were doing your sound check, and then we basically just tangented into education stuff because that's apparently that's my shtick when I come on here.
It's back
Which
to
is
summer
fine.
time. That's why. What?
Although I think it's coming up to Baron time, so
It is coming up to.
Is it time to feel the Baron?
I was hoping we could get
Feel
through tonight without
Baron.
having to hear that.
I love it so much.
no.
I know you
You're
do,
gonna have to-
and that freaks me out.
The only one I love more than that is Feel the Johnson, because that one just makes me laugh too much.
And on that note, thank
Hey,
you,
no, no,
Clement.
I-
I
Good night,
appreciate
everyone.
that immensely.
I could save this. We all know that Wolfie can't melt steel beams.
Yeah, Wolfie can't melt steel beams. I still want him to make like a 9/11 conspiracy video about that demonstrates that he didn't kill Wolfie, and there's a cover up and all that for who really did.
Is there a grassy knoll?
Wake up, sheeple! Wake up!
I want to see the true believer in the Wolfie like can melt steel beams, and they show like a flying wolf breathing fire.
It just cuts a
Laser
steel
beam
beam in
eyes.
half. Just
and that becomes justification for Baron killing Wolfie because
Right.
obviously it was a mutant super wolf that should have been murdered.
Dear God.
Everyone goes to Super Patriot.
Oh, wow. I have this mental image of him saluting as a flag like flutters right behind him.
That sounds more like Varya, though.
Your husband or Wolfie?
No. Well, now I'm seeing Wolfie doing the same thing. So
His
Traitor!
little paw.
Well, his eyes are shooting laser beams, obviously.
red, white, and blue laser
With the
beams.
subtitle
God.
of I'm Wolfie and I approve this message.
That is a-
All right.
See, saved it.
Oh my. All right. Well, thank you, Sayo, for dropping by our fourth chair for this evening. Stay tuned. Baron's going to be coming up next. He's going to talk more a little bit about the changes that we have starting this Monday for our streaming.
I think Sunday. It's Sunday.
Sunday.
Well, all I know is I'm going to have it updated on the Twitch page before I go to bed tonight.
Wolfie
Oh,
was the
did he make
faceless
sure
on
you
the
get it
grassy
sent to
knoll.
you?
Oh my God.
I just got a reply. He's about ready.
All right. Well, on that note,
Love it.
Baron will be up next. He'll tell you all about the rest of our streaming schedule for this weekend. Join us. We will be on Ghost in the Podcast on Sunday at our normal 5 o'clock hour, unless something else has changed that I don't think it has, though.
Oh, you mean you and Baron,
Yeah.
not we.
Queen's we.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
I see how it is.
See how it is messed up.
Podcast with me. That's
Could
fine.
I?
Yeah. you
Could I?
I mean, you won't because you'll abandon me and you'll say that you have things to do.
Well, maybe I will abandon you and better not abandon Baron.
Oh, it begins, folks. You're gonna wish
No.
that you were here for the after show.
After
this-
hours.
Yeah,
There's
after
this
hours.
thing that I saw go out on the Twitter yesterday
Did you?
with
What'd it say?
photos of me with apparently in bed with the corn lobby, and will Killer try to take over the RivalCastia nomination for the 2020 presidential elections? And I just want you to know,
Feel the
Killer
jerky.
Masoy, that if you were in fact behind this, you're going.
Soy? What? Killer Masoy? Really? That's what we're doing? Weird.
Anyway,
Staying out of this.
for the fourth time, Baron's up next. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. And from all of us here at RivalCast Media,